Mom, this is not the life I planned for myself.
If you could see me now, Grandma, broken, empty, wishing I could go back to the days I called suffering. But let me tell you how it all started. How a girl who had everything lost it all chasing nothing. Esther lived in a small quiet village with her old grandmother. Every morning, she woke up early to fetch water from the stream. Every afternoon, she helped her grandmother sell vegetables at the market. Every evening, she cooked over a smoky fire and washed dishes with cold water. Her hands were rough. Her back was tired. And her heart was angry. She looked at her life and thought, this is suffering. This is not living. I am wasting my youth in this village. While other girls her age seemed happy, Esther felt trapped. She watched them laugh while working, but she could not understand how they found joy in such a hard life. The sound of the rooster every morning felt like a prison bell, reminding her that another day of suffering had begun. Her grandmother loved her deeply. The old woman would hold Esther's face in her wrinkled hands and say, "My child, life is not about shortcuts. Work with your hands. Keep your dignity. God will bless you in His time." But Esther did not want to hear this. She did not want to wait. She did not want to struggle. She looked at her grandmother's bent back and worn-out wrapper and thought, I will never be like this. I will never suffer like this. There must be another way. So she stopped listening. She started dreaming. She started looking beyond the village, toward the city lights she had never seen but always imagined. Every time her grandmother tried to teach her patience, Esther would not, but her mind was far away, already planning her escape. Grandma doesn't understand, she would tell herself. Times have changed. Nobody suffers anymore if they're smart. Esther had a phone, an old cracked phone that barely worked. But she used it to watch videos online. She saw girls her age living in big apartments. They wore expensive wigs and painted nails. They took pictures in fancy restaurants. They traveled to beaches and hotels. They smiled at the camera like life was easy. Like money grew on trees. Like stress did not exist. Esther watched these videos every night, and each time, her heart burned with jealousy. Why them and not me, she whispered. What do they have that I don't have? I am beautiful too. I am young too. Why should I suffer here while they enjoy life? She would spend hours scrolling through photos, comparing her torn slippers to their designer shoes, her faded dress to their expensive outfits. The more she watched, the more bitter she became. She started believing that hard work was for foolish people, that smart girls knew how to make money without breaking their backs. Her friends in the village were content. They laughed while washing clothes at the stream. They sang while working on the farm. They talked about their dreams of opening small businesses, of getting married to good men, of raising children in peace. But Esther could not laugh with them. She felt like a prisoner. She felt like life was passing her by. She stopped going to church. She stopped helping her grandmother with joy. She became bitter and restless. When her friends invited her to join them for evening prayers or village meetings, she would make excuses. I'm tired, she would say. But the truth was, she was tired of the village itself. All she wanted was to escape. All she wanted was the soft life. And she did not care how she would get it. She only cared that she would get it. Soon. Very soon. Her grandmother noticed the change in her and prayed quietly every night, asking God to protect her granddaughter from the dangers she could not yet see. Sometimes, the old woman would wake up from nightmares about Esther, her heart heavy with a fear she could not explain. But Esther saw these prayers as proof that her grandmother was old-fashioned, stuck in the past, unable to understand the modern world. The day they arrived, everything changed. They looked like angels, but I didn't know I was staring at my own destruction wrapped in expensive perfume and fake smiles. Then came the festive season. December. The village became alive with music and laughter. Families were cooking. Children were playing. And then they arrived. The city babes. 3 young women who grew up in the village but now lived in the city. They came back home in a big car, windows tinted, music blasting so loud the ground seemed to shake. Everyone stopped and stared. Mothers stopped pounding yam. Fathers stopped their conversations. Children ran toward the car with wide eyes. The girls stepped out wearing tight jeans, high heels, and sunglasses even though the sun was setting. Their hair was long and silky, flowing down their backs like waterfalls. Their skin glowed like they had bathed in honey. Their perfume filled the air, sweet and expensive. They walked like queens. And the whole village treated them like queens. Young girls gathered around them, touching their clothes and asking questions. Even the market women paused their work to admire them. "See success," someone shouted. "This is what happens when you go to the city." Esther watched from a distance, her heart pounding with envy so strong it hurt her chest. She saw how people rushed to greet them. How the young boys tried to impress them, offering to carry their bags, to show them around. How even the elders smiled and asked them questions. "How is the city? You girls are doing well, oh. God is faithful." But Esther did not see God in their success. She saw something else. She saw freedom. She saw beauty. She saw the soft life she had been dreaming about. She noticed how they moved with confidence, how they talked with authority, how they made everyone feel small just by existing. That night, she could not sleep. She kept thinking about them. She kept wondering what they did in the city. She kept imagining herself in their place, stepping out of a big car, making everyone jealous, making everyone respect her. She pictured her grandmother's face filled with pride instead of worry. She imagined her old friends looking at her with envy instead of pity. The thoughts consumed her completely. She tossed and turned on her mat, her mind racing with possibilities, her heart beating with dangerous hope. The next day, Esther gathered courage and went to meet them. They were sitting outside a neighbor's house, laughing loudly and showing off their phones, the latest iPhones that gleamed in the sunlight. Their nails were long and decorated with tiny diamonds. Their lips were glossy and perfect. Esther greeted them shyly, her voice almost a whisper. At first, they barely noticed her. But then one of them, a girl called Zora, looked at her and smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was a calculating smile. "Oh, small girl. You want to be like us, ABI?" Esther's face burned with embarrassment, but she nodded. "Yes. I want to leave this village. I want to make money. I want to live well. Please, show me the way." The 3 girls looked at each other and laughed. Not a kind laugh. A knowing laugh. A laugh that said, "Another one." A laugh that said, "We've seen your type before." Zora's eyes scanned Esther from head to toe, measuring her, calculating her worth like a market woman examining goods. "You are pretty," Zora said slowly. "With small packaging, you can blow. But are you ready to leave childish thinking behind? Are you ready to be a woman?" Zora pulled Esther aside and spoke to her in a low voice, away from the others. "Village life is suffering, my dear. I know because I suffered too. I used to fetch water like you. I used to sell things in the market. My hands were rough. My future was dark. But in the city, money is fast. Life is sweet. You don't need to break your back. You just need to be smart. You need to be sharp. You need to know how to carry yourself." Esther's eyes widened with hope. "What do you mean? What work do you do?" Zora smiled and touched Esther's cheek gently, like a sister, like a friend. "Don't worry about details now. Just know that if you follow us, you will never fetch water again. You will never sell vegetables again. You will wear good clothes, eat good food, and live in a fine place. All you need is courage. All you need is to say yes. Zara leaned closer and whispered, her breath warm against Esther's ear. In this life, you use what you have to get what you want. The city is not for weak girls. It is for sharp girls who know their worth. Men have money. We have beauty. It's a fair exchange. Simple. And Esther, blinded by desperation and jealousy, said yes. She said yes without asking more questions. She said yes without thinking about the cost. She said yes because all she wanted was to escape. She said yes because the picture Zara painted was too beautiful to resist, even though somewhere deep inside, a small voice whispered that something was not right. But Esther silenced that voice. She buried it under her dreams of soft life, under her hatred of suffering, under her desperate need to be somebody. The city welcomed me with bright lights and sweet promises. I thought I was finally free. I didn't know I had just walked into a cage made of gold. Within 1 week, Esther packed a small bag and lied to her grandmother. She said she was going to visit a cousin in another town for some training. Her grandmother looked into her eyes with deep sadness and said, "Esther, my child, I have lived long. I know when a young person is running toward danger. Please, stay. Whatever you are looking for out there, it will cost you more than you know." The old woman held Esther's hand tightly, her voice shaking with emotion. "My dear, easy money is never easy. It always comes with a heavy price. I beg you, don't go. If you need money, we will work harder together. If you need education, we will find a way. But don't go with those girls. I can see darkness around them." But Esther gently pulled her hand away, feeling annoyed by her grandmother's words. She kissed her grandmother's cheek and walked away. She did not look back. She did not want to see the tears in the old woman's eyes. She did not want to feel guilt. She only wanted to feel free. As she walked down the dusty road with her small bag, her grandmother stood at the door, watching until Esther disappeared around the corner, her lips moving in silent prayer, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. The journey to the city was long, but Esther's heart was full of excitement. When they finally arrived, she could not believe her eyes. Tall buildings reached toward the sky. Bright lights blinked everywhere like stars had fallen to earth. Cars everywhere, moving fast, honking, filling the streets with noise and smoke. The city smelled different, a mix of perfume, food, and pollution. It sounded different, never quiet, always buzzing with life. Everything moved so fast that Esther felt dizzy watching it all. Zara and the other girls took her to an apartment in a busy area. It was small but fancy. There was a big mirror with lights around it. There were colorful LED lights on the walls. There was a wardrobe full of clothes, shoes lined up like a boutique. "This is where you will stay," Zara said, gesturing around like a queen showing off her kingdom. "Tomorrow, we will take you shopping. We will fix your hair. We will teach you how to take pictures. And then, we will introduce you to the life." Esther did not understand everything, but she did not care. She was finally here. She was finally living the dream. That night, she lay on a soft bed for the first time in her life and smiled at the ceiling, convinced she had made the right choice. She took a selfie and almost posted it, but Zara snatched the phone. "Not yet. First, we package you. Then you can post and make them jealous." The next few weeks felt like a fantasy. Esther got new clothes, tight dresses that hugged her body, crop tops that showed her stomach, jeans that made her look curvy. She got new shoes, high heels that made her walk differently, made her feel taller, more powerful. She got a new wig, long Brazilian hair that cost more than her grandmother earned in 3 months. She got a new phone, the latest model, and a new phone number. "New life, new number," Zara explained. She learned how to apply makeup, contouring her face until she looked like a different person. She learned how to pose for pictures, which angles made her look best, how to pout her lips, how to arch her back. She learned how to smile even when she did not feel like smiling. Zara took her to clubs, loud places full of music and smoke and men with money. The music was so loud Esther could feel it in her chest. The smoke made her cough at first, but she learned to ignore it. Just be friendly, Zara whispered in her ear over the loud music. Laugh at their jokes. Make them feel special. Touch their arm when you talk. Look into their eyes. Make them feel like they are the only man in the room. They will take care of you. And they did. Men bought her drinks, expensive bottles she had never heard of. They gave her money, cash that they slipped into her purse with a wink. They took her to hotels and restaurants, places with chandeliers and waiters in uniforms. At first, Esther felt powerful. She felt beautiful. She felt like she had finally made it. She sent pictures to her old friends in the village, and they replied with jealous emojis, fire emojis, heart emojis. She felt like a queen. She posted on social media with captions like, "Living my best life," and "God is good," and "Soft life, no stress," even though deep down she knew God had nothing to do with this life. The likes and comments made her feel important, made her feel seen, made her forget the small voice of doubt that whispered late at night when she was alone. But slowly, something began to change. The smiles felt harder to fake. Her cheeks hurt from pretending to laugh. The nights felt longer. Some nights she did not sleep until morning. The men felt colder. Their hands felt rough and demanding. Their words felt empty and sometimes cruel. Esther started noticing things. The way Zara's hands shook sometimes when she thought no one was watching. The way one of the other girls cried quietly in the bathroom after coming back from a hotel. The way they all took pills, little white pills and colorful pills, to stay awake, to feel happy, to forget whatever they needed to forget. She noticed how they avoided certain questions. How they changed the subject when she asked about going home. How they never talked about their families anymore, as if those connections had been cut forever, as if their old lives had died. Esther tried to ignore it. She tried to focus on the money, the clothes, the attention. But deep inside, a small voice was whispering, "This is not right. This is not life. This is something else." And that voice grew louder every single day. She started having nightmares about her grandmother, dreams where the old woman was crying, calling her name. She started feeling dirty no matter how many showers she took, scrubbing her skin until it was red and sore. She started realizing that the price of the soft life was higher than any amount of money she was making. She was paying with her soul, her dignity, her peace. And the worst part was, she could not stop. She was trapped. They say what goes up must come down. But nobody told me how fast I would fall, or how hard the ground would be when I finally hit it. Months passed, and the glamour began to crack like old paint on a wall. Esther noticed she was always tired, a deep tiredness that sleep could not fix. Her body ached in places she could not explain. Her heart felt empty, like someone had scooped out everything inside and left only a hollow space. The money came fast, but it also disappeared fast. There were always bills to pay, hair to fix, nails to do, clothes to buy because the old ones were out of style. There were always friends to impress, bottles to buy at the club, and a lifestyle to maintain. She started feeling afraid. Afraid of the men. Some of them were rough. Some of them were strange. Some of them looked at her like she was not human, just a thing to use. Afraid of getting sick. She heard stories about girls who got sick and were abandoned. Afraid of being alone. The apartment that once felt like paradise now felt like a prison. She could not leave without permission. She could not say no when Zara told her where to go, who to meet. She realized she was not living the soft life. She was trapped in it. One night, after a particularly difficult encounter, she tried to talk to Zora. "I want to go home," she whispered, her voice breaking. But Zora laughed bitterly, a laugh with no joy in it. "Home? To do what? To fetch water. You can't go back now, Esther. You've tasted this life. Village life will kill you with boredom. Plus, people have seen your pictures. What will you tell them? Just manage. We all manage." Zora's eyes were empty as she spoke, dead eyes in a living face, and Esther saw herself in that emptiness, her future staring back at her with no hope, no escape. But Esther could not manage anymore. One day, she woke up feeling very ill. Her body was weak, so weak she could barely stand. Her mind was confused, foggy, like she was living in a dream. She had a fever that would not go away, burning through her day and night. Her whole body hurt. She was scared. She went to a small clinic alone because Zora and the others were busy. The nurse looked at her with pity, the kind of pity that made Esther feel ashamed. "You need to take care of yourself," the nurse said gently, her voice soft but firm. "This life you are living, it is costing you your health. You are young. You still have time to change. But if you continue like this, you won't recognize yourself in a few years. Some damage cannot be undone." Esther broke down in tears right there in the clinic, sobbing so hard she could not breathe. Other patients stared at her, but she did not care. She realized then that the soft life was not soft at all. It was hard. It was painful. It was breaking her from the inside, piece by piece. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about the village. She thought about the simple life she had hated so much, the life she had called suffering. And for the first time, she understood that suffering with dignity was better than comfort with shame. She remembered her grandmother's wrinkled hands holding her face with love, pure love that asked for nothing in return, and she wept for all the time she had wasted running from that love. Everything collapsed faster than it had been built. The money stopped coming. The men moved on to younger, newer girls. The friends disappeared like smoke. Zora moved to another city without saying goodbye, leaving only a short text message: "New city, new start. Good luck." The other girls stopped answering her calls. When Esther tried to reach them, their numbers were switched off or disconnected. She was left alone in the apartment with nothing. No money. No friends. No hope. No plan. The landlord came, a big angry man who did not care about her story, and told her to leave. "Pack your things and go. I don't run charity here." She had nowhere to go. She sat on the floor of that empty apartment, surrounded by the pieces of her broken dream, and cried until her voice was gone, until her tears dried up, until she was just sitting there in silence, staring at nothing. She remembered her grandmother's warning, every word of it now clear and true. She remembered the peace she once had, even in poverty, the peace of a clear conscience, of clean hands, of dignity. She realized she had traded her soul for a lie. The soft life was never soft. It was a trap. A beautiful, glittering trap that swallowed young girls whole and spit them out broken, used up, discarded. She looked at herself in the mirror one last time before leaving that apartment, and she did not recognize the girl staring back. Her eyes were dull, lifeless. Her spirit was crushed, bent like her grandmother's back, but for all the wrong reasons. She had lost herself completely in the search for something that was never real. Esther managed to find her way back to the village, selling her phone for transport money, wearing borrowed clothes because all her fancy things had been taken by the landlord. The journey back felt 10 times longer than the journey to the city, but she was not the same girl who had left. Her eyes had lost their light. Her body was weak, fragile like old paper. Her spirit was crushed, broken into pieces she did not know how to put back together. When her grandmother saw her at the door, standing there with empty hands and emptier eyes, the old woman did not ask questions. She did not say, "I told you so." She just opened her arms, those same wrinkled arms Esther had once pulled away from, and held Esther while she cried. And Esther cried like a child, like she had not cried in months, deep sobs that came from the bottom of her soul. "I'm sorry, Grandma," Esther whispered between sobs. "I'm so sorry. You were right. You were right about everything. I was so foolish. So foolish." Her grandmother stroked her hair, the way she used to when Esther was a little girl, and said, "My child, some lessons are learned through pain. The most important lessons often are. But you are still alive. You still have breath in your body. You still have a chance to rebuild. Never forget what this life has taught you. Let this pain not be wasted. And never, never let another young girl fall into the same trap. Your story can save someone else." Esther nodded, tears streaming down her face, snot running from her nose, not caring how she looked, just grateful to be held, to be loved without conditions, to be home. She had wanted the soft life so badly. But now she knew the truth. Soft life has a price, and that price is paid in pieces of your soul, in your dignity, in your peace, in your health, in everything that makes you who you are. Not all money is good money. Some money is stained with tears and regret. And regret, painful and deep, often comes when it is too late, when the damage is already done, when you cannot get back what you have lost. If only she had known. If only she had listened. If only she had valued what she had before she lost herself trying to get what she thought she wanted. Now, all she could do was heal slowly, one day at a time, rebuild her life piece by piece like building a house with broken bricks, and warn other young girls who might be tempted by the same beautiful lie. The village life she once hated now felt like a gift, a second chance she promised never to waste again. And every time she saw a young girl with that same hungry look in her eyes, that same restlessness, that same desire to escape, Esther would pull her aside and tell her story, not hiding the shameful parts, not making it sound better than it was, but telling the raw truth. The soft life will cost you everything,